is The Art of Defense on Foot, written by Charles Roworth in 1798. There were a few different editions that were reprinted afterwards, about 4 of them total, that have a little bit of variation. We're going to do our best to kind of include more or less the necessity aspects of all this. It was built out as a universal swordsmanship, or a universal system of swordsmanship, for saber, spadoon, hanger, bastion, broadsword, pretty much any kind of one-handed weapon during the very tail end of the 18th century. It would go on to like a lot of popularity, although it would never actually be formally approved or adopted by the British military. It got so popular that its last reprint in 1824 was in New York City, where it was probably also taught here in the States. So it's a very popular system. It's primarily one that's very linear, relies on parry or post mechanics as well as slip tactics. So basically voids as we know it. And with that, if you guys don't have any other questions about it, we will jump right into showing off the different kinds of blades. I've used as a practice weapon for practicing these techniques. They would not have used live steel, would have been too sharp, would have been a little dangerous. So the contrary, would have used single stick to practice these. And single stick was used well into the 19th century, particularly for sailors, trained sailors for various militaries, and as just a good ship exercise. Outside of that, we have the basket hilt broadsword. So very much popularized by the Scottish Highlands, but this is a sword that was used everywhere at this time period. It was very popular among civilians. It was very popular in the British Isles. You'd see them in Ireland, you'd see them in England, obviously Scotland. You'd also see them in mainland Europe. They were very popular swords, and really they're just an extension of the army sword. And they're pretty much a steel version of your basket hilt, or your baton single sticks. So we don't have any spadoons to show off. However, we do have some small swords. Spadoons were, or shearing swords, were kind of a mix of a weapon. It was trying to bridge the gap between a small sword and more of a military useful, heavier, cut and thrust style weapon. And while earlier versions did a pretty good job, they had some pretty mixed reviews by this time period. But they were still fairly popular, and you'd see them often used. We also don't have any hangers, unfortunately, but you could think of hangers as being kind of a shorter saber. Hangers would have been very popular among civilian crowds. They were typically used as hunting tools to finish off game. They were also very popular among infantry as a sidearm, or for use in close quarters outside of classic bayonet tactics. And then finally, we have a saber. And saber was very, very popular within the military. It became a lot more popular right after this time period, the adoption during the Napoleonic era. You have a famous officer who's well known for cavalry, who served along the Austrians, come back over to England, design a very famous style of saber that's still, beloved by humanists today. You have your guard, or iron board iron. You have your blade, you have the strong and weak of the blade, sharp, spine, back edge, and then the back, or the very tip back edge, would have also probably been sharp as well. Obviously the point, and then with sabers, you have maybe a saber cap or something similar to that, but oftentimes there wasn't a pommel as we know it in like a side sword or army sword. So is that pretty much?
That's right. There's another unique feature. You'll see that this saber handle hooks into a bill or like a bird's beak, but this spot right here is what we call the back strap, and that comes into play when we get into grips.
Yes. Speaking of grips, Roworth talks about the different ways to grip the saber. The primary way would be a handshake or even a hammer grip, where it's completely wrapped around, or edge ever so slightly forward. You can see a little V shape from my hand here, being held back. He does suggest that there is another way, which is you bring your thumb right back up where the back strap would have been. This is particularly popular for June. It becomes more popular later for saber, but during the time period, a lot of them don't have the longer enough grips. Same thing with the basket hilt broadswords. They just don't have a whole lot of space there, and the weighted blades would have made it a little bit difficult to hold it in this manner comfortably, especially if you didn't have to.
And when you get your chance to hold the saber, when you get into some of your guards, try holding your high guards without the thumb up, and then try it with the thumb up, and then see how that feels, and see why your thumb is an option.
The thumb can give you a better command in your cuts. It can also give you a little bit more structure in your thrusts. So, and again, as we progress into the 19th century, you see a lot more point-oriented work, even with the saber. So it's kind of a melding of different ideals there. But that thumb on the backstrap, like I mentioned, it was popular in Dragoon. It was also very popular. It's your right hand, your right foot is forward. Your left hand, your left foot is forward. In an L shape, take a step or about a step and a half forward with your front foot, right? And then sink your weight down. Primarily shifting your weight, if you can, to your back leg. So a lot of Roworth's focus is on his back leg, bearing most of your weight, and the idea with this is that you can perform a slip with that front leg if you need to. And you can just bring it right on back. A lot of Roworth stuff is very focused on defense, self-preservation. It's very much a military-focused, practical application focus. Your broad shoulder, your front shoulder should be forward, your arm out. For those of us holding weapons, you're going to want to keep your arm out fairly far out. So almost straight, and not locked. Okay, most of the weight's on the back foot. Yes. Toes perpendicular. You can see Cliff with his toes are in line with his knees. Most all of his weight is on his back leg. So that way, if somebody were to come in with a cut, he can slip that and repose if need be. Also, with all the weight on that back leg, it allows you to have a stronger propelling forward for your lunge, which we will get here very shortly. Your offhand, your non-dominant hand that's back behind you, it's either up here behind your head, or it is fancily on your head. Whichever you choose. It's fine. So, are you guys all in kind of a comfortable spot? You're moving forward, and that back foot is following up. Okay? It's very simple, or it's very similar to traditional style fencing. And before everybody is up here, let me get to that. Let me get to the retreating. So with retreating, it's the same thing as advancing, but you're using your back foot first. Right? So back foot goes back, front foot follows. Yes. You can push off. You can make it really big, right? You can make it, or you can make it really small. And my recommendation is with almost all of your movement, you're going to want to keep it somewhat small. The major reason why is that if he were to come in with a big movement, he can't stop himself. There's not a lot that he can do in that movement to help himself. So keeping these this small and tight, remember, you're moving towards a dangerous line of blade here. You don't want to be propelling yourself into it. You want to be moving carefully, keeping up that distance. So that's your retreat, and that's your advance. The other thing you want to be careful of is not to get into the habit of moving the wrong foot first. So if you're retreating, you don't want to do this, right? You don't want to do this, because you're going to trip. You're going to trip over your own feet. There is a condition where you can move your back foot forward first in a gathering step and into a lunge. We're not there. We're not there. We're going to extend your arm. Extension is first, always first. then you're going to propel yourself with the weight of your back leg into the left. You don't have to go super deep, right? You may see me sometimes go, and I'm really deep, all right? But period after it, please speak. We're going to build all that much. You can make it really small, and you can use this as a deception technique too. If people misjudge your range, they're more likely to come in too close. So, you're here, you're extending, you're lunging, and then as you come back, your arm is the first one in, the first thing in, your arm is the last out. Right. You're keeping that arm extended, and as you come back, it's there to defend you. If somebody tries to riposte against you by mistakenly moving their body before they're blade, you already have that extension out, and you can catch them as they come in. So a little bit of strategy there, right? So you do the lunge, go ahead. Yep. And you recover. You recover by bringing your front leg back. There is a recovery system. So you bring your back leg forward. Don't worry about it. We're focusing on the front leg going backwards, right?